Alliance, featuring champions from throughout the continental United States. And now to your host, world-renowned wrestling commentator, Gordon Soley.
Welcome to Continental Championship Wrestling, and what you're witnessing on the screen right now is the removal of gorgeous Jimmy Golden from the Boutwell Auditorium, where he was removed to the hospital. He suffered eye damage, a most unusual situation in as much as 3 top competitors were lost in action last week. Jimmy Golden, Robert Fuller, who suffered a broken wrist, and Steve Armstrong. All 3 are out of action and will be out of action for some time to come. All of this has come about as a result of a situation where the Mystic One, Kevin Sullivan, returning to the Continental area, and also the situation involving the Tennessee stud, Ron Fuller. Ron Fuller has joined me here today, and due to the rather unusual circumstance of the news and sports alignment on television this past week, many of you missed what actually occurred on Continental Championship Wrestling. First of all, Ron, it's obvious that Robert is not going to be returning to action for some time, neither is Jimmy Golden.
That's right. Jimmy's eyes, they really don't know to what extent Jimmy's eyes are damaged. His right eye is very bad. Robert not only fractured his wrist, but he broke several bones in his wrist. He's already had 1 operation on his hand, and he's due to have another one this week. I don't know how bad Steve Armstrong was injured, but I know he was hurt badly too.
Well, now, Ron, this whole thing really has started since the Mystic One, Kevin Sullivan, came upon the scene here on Continental Championship Wrestling. And I might just point out to all of you who are watching right now, we are bringing you this segment of Continental Championship Wrestling direct from Straight Furrow Productions in Birmingham. We'll be going back to Boutwell Auditorium for some interviews with Freddie Miller and also some matches later on. But right now, I'd like to really get this problem squared away, if you will, because, Ron, for one thing, you're suspended from wrestling.
Well, that's exactly right, Gordon, and that happened just a couple of weeks ago on the program, and it's the only program, as long as I've been wrestling, that I've ever been kicked off of as far as not being allowed to compete on a wrestling program. And I think you have some videotape of what happened a couple of weeks ago, and maybe that's a good place to start before we actually show any of the match in which Robert and Jimmy and Steve Armstrong were all hurt.
I think it's a good point. It was something that Ron Fuller, who had just returned to Continental Championship Wrestling, was in, and I must say this in his defense, he was unaware of a new stipulation that had been laid down by the promoters of Continental Championship Wrestling, and very frankly, he did what comes rather naturally, and unfortunately, it came up with some rather disastrous results. Let's take a look at that episode as it happened at the podium on the stage at Boutwell Auditorium.
And then it came back to this country. Either the CIA or someone's got a hold of you is trying to warp your mind. Now listen, Ronald, I got everything under control, exactly like you said.
You ain't got nothing under control with me, son. You better keep your face out of my face, yeah?
Wait a minute.
If you want to, I'll put my fist in your face, too, boy.
No, remember the ruling. I don't want any...
What ruling? I don't know nothing about no...
Hey, come on, big boy. If you're so big, I'm right here. Come on, punch me, brother. Come on. You think you're so tough?
Yeah, I'm tough enough. I'm tough enough to punch your lights out.
Hey, wait a minute.
Tough enough to punch your lights out.
Wait a minute. Wait a second. We've got total bedlam breaking loose here. Hold on. Oh, my gosh. They have completely destroyed that. Don't leave us. Don't leave us. Don't leave us. Let's stay in. No, Ron Fuller is being absolutely decimated here.
You're so tough now. Fight me out, big boy.
Hold up here. Hold up. Hold on a minute.
Well, Ron, as a result of that, of course, you were suspended. You cannot compete. However, the Tennessee stud, whomever he may be, can compete. But Sullivan brought about a most unusual situation, the first time in the history of wrestling on television, the Singapore suicide match.
which is, Gordon, I've done a lot of traveling, and I've been to Singapore, and I know this type of match, and it's the most dangerous match in all of wrestling. I was surprised that they allowed it on television, and the reason Sullivan wanted the match, which at that time I couldn't figure out, neither could Robert nor Jimmy, I'm sure the Bullet nor Steve Armstrong really knew the reason, but he knew what he was going to do, and he knew what he wanted to accomplish, and he had backed everybody into a corner and placed everybody in a position where they accepted the match, and consequently a lot of guys got hurt. And I think now you're going to show the first portion of that match. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was a long match and a grueling match.
It was indeed, and the point being that there was a coin toss to see who the first competitors would be. There's basically no rest period in between, and it literally assures one somebody is going to go to the hospital. In this case, a most unfortunate situation is 3 different competitors went to the hospital. Now, we're going to join this match in progress after the coin toss, and it's Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden against the Headhunters themselves, who, of course, are managed and controlled by Kevin Sullivan. Let's join this match in progress, and you'll see what we're talking about.
Ravishing Robert. And he's moving well against the Headhunters. Looking strong indeed. Robert Fuller might be single-handedly taking the measure of the Headhunters. And now, remember, no disqualification, so we've got a 4-way street brawl going on right now. Once again, that double headbutt. Fuller in trouble outside the ring. And it looked like Kevin Sullivan got in a cheap shot there. Fuller in a world of hurt now. Caught with a chop into the head. Caught with another chop. And Fuller has been indeed lacerated. A severe laceration to the forehead. And Fuller in a lot of trouble here as the Headhunters are doing exactly that. After the head of Robert Fuller, Fuller trying to get over to that corner. Trying to tag up if he can, and look at that deadly-looking black shroud at ringside. That's Kevin Sullivan. Fuller in more and more trouble. Remember, it's no disqualification, a Singapore suicide match. Fuller jammed into that. He fires back. Fuller fires back with everything that he's got. Great second effort here on the part of Robert Fuller. Fuller needs to get over and tag up with Jimmy Golden. He makes that tag, and Jimmy Golden comes charging in the ring. Jimmy Golden exploding on the Headhunter. Golden now catching both Headhunters, and Golden firing away with everything that he's got. He's got him both in the ring. Catches him with a beautiful drop kick. Golden up, catches him with another drop kick. And so Jimmy Golden, a renewed, rejuvenated Jimmy Golden, looking extremely strong here. Has both Headhunters up, both of them catching full body slams. Golden looking at, caught from behind. And it was once again Kevin Sullivan from outside. Bear in mind, as much as I hate to say this, no disqualification. Reverse power slam on Jimmy Golden. Tag is made. Second Headhunter up over the top rope. Count of 3. Remember, you've got to win 2 falls in a row. 2 straight falls, and this match could go on all night long. But Golden and Fuller, so the Headhunters have 1 fall. But now it's the Bullet and Steve Armstrong. The Bullet and Steve Armstrong looking extremely good. The Bullet and Steve Armstrong moving well against the Headhunters. Remember, the Headhunters have just had several minutes of a very tough match. And now, Steve Armstrong. They catch him, they rip him across the eyes. The Bullet fired outside the ring. And now it's the no disqualification. Wait a second. They catch Steve Armstrong outside the ring. The Bullet after Kevin Sullivan. And now the two of them really pounding away on Steve Armstrong as the bullet is being forced back by the referee. Meanwhile, the headhunters pounding away at Steve Armstrong, and well, we're going to have to cut away for just a moment here. We're going to have to cut away for just a moment. Steve Armstrong in trouble. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you've ever tried recording...
And that'll be on the 15th of November at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. That's right, the 15th at 3 p.m. in the afternoon at the high school. And then, of course, on the 15th at 8:30 that evening in Knoxville at the Civic Center, the Continental Tag Team Tournament. First time ever, new Continental Tag Team Championship belts awarded to the winners in this one-night round-robin tourney. And two of the gentlemen in the first-round pairings are with me.
That's right. I didn't think I'd ever see this day come either, Gordon, but Knoxville, Tennessee, I've got Adrian Street as my partner, and we got the Dirty White Boy and Rip Rogers in the ring. And, Miss Brenda, if you stick your nose in, we got somebody right here that's going to take care of you. But the bottom line is we're going to go through you and go right on through the tournament.
As far as I'm concerned, those two flea bags have just got themselves another flea bag. That's exactly what that filthy white Caucasian person is.
Well, that's an interesting observation. It will be the Tennessee Stud and the Bullet.
Well, there'll be a lot of teams that haven't teamed before and other teams that have a lot of experience with each other. But it's going to take a lucky team to come out that night because, Gordon, you can see here they've got negotiations going on with teams that aren't even listed here. Already have 8 teams. They're talking about maybe 10 or 12. We're talking about the 15th, the first time any belt's ever been sanctioned for a Continental Tag Team title. So that night somebody's going to leave with 2 beautiful big Tag Team Championship belts. So there's going to be a lot of lady luck involved. You can be good, but a lot of people say they'd rather be lucky than good anytime. But I'll tell you this, I got a big man with me, the Tennessee Stud, and I've driven him in the ground before, and he stood right up and hit right back in the head, and I know how tough he is. He knows how tough I am. Now we're going to put it all together. We're going straight ahead. So on the 15th, it's going to be knock down, drag them out, and some lucky team is going to walk away, like I said, with brand new, freshly sanctioned by the MWA Continental Tag Team Championship belts.
And I might point out, too, some of the other teams you'll be seeing in action include the living legends themselves, Ron and Don Wright. You'll be seeing the New Guinea Headhunters, Steve Armstrong and Tom Pritchard. And all right, the team has not been able to score a pinfall or a submission hold, and you can hear the crowd picking up the chant. Go, Steve, go. Steve Armstrong. Battling away, Steve Armstrong driven back to the turnbuckles, and now the second headhunter is after him. The headhunters trying to pick up a second victory. High knee lift. And now both headhunters double teaming on Steve Armstrong. Armstrong fires back to the midsection. Off the ropes, Armstrong. Rolling reverse. Second headhunter moves in. The Bullet outside the ring waiting for that tag. Steve Armstrong. A weary Steve Armstrong. Battered but not beaten. Now the Bullet's in the ring. Steve Armstrong catches it again across the back of the neck. No question about it, Kevin Sullivan now punishing Steve Armstrong. Overhooked by the headhunter. Steve Armstrong makes the tag with the Bullet. The referee did not see it. Steve Armstrong. There's a lot of problems here. They have Steve Armstrong bent across that top rope. A chop into the chest. Another chop into the chest. Armstrong in trouble as the headhunters double teaming. He's been caught from behind by Kevin Sullivan off the ropes. Steve Armstrong, a good leapfrog. He goes for the sleeper. The Bullet charges in. They had the sleeper, but it was Kevin Sullivan catching Steve Armstrong. They've got a count of 3 over there. Wait a minute. Jimmy Golden and Robert Fuller just charged the ring. Jimmy Golden and Robert Fuller charged the ring after the headhunters. And he's got the sleeper hold on Kevin Sullivan. The Bullet has a sleeper hold on Kevin Sullivan. Singapore suicide. Wait a minute. Who are these people? Who are these individuals? Jimmy Golden caught in the eye with some kind of abrasive. Jimmy Golden caught with some kind of abrasive. And now, wait a minute. Robert Fuller, look at this. Look outside there. Ooh. Fuller and Golden both down and injured. Now they're after Steve Armstrong and the Bullet. The Bullet hurled over that top rope. And I don't know who this man is. But he came from nowhere. And look at this other one up on the top ring rope. Down across the chest of Steve Armstrong. The referee down and out. This has turned into absolute chaos. Steve Armstrong jammed into that turnbuckle. This has turned into absolute chaos. No question about that. Kevin Sullivan making his way toward the desk. Making his way toward the podium. Well, let me see if I can't get a word with him.
Well, all I can say is that's like Johnson losing Vinny Testaverde's out of the Miami Hurricanes, or Bosworth being lost out of the Oklahoma's team. When you lose 3 top competitors like this in one night of wrestling, it's devastating.
Well, it's horrible to me because 2 of those members are my family. It's also horrible to the wrestling fans in this area who have grown accustomed to seeing them. And the worst thing about it is it's all a diabolical plan of one individual who had it planned all along to have 2 people waiting in the wings, Sheikh Abdullah, who I've heard of from Arabia, and Chris Colt from Germany. And to have those guys waiting in the wings to come in and lay 3 people up and send 3 people to the hospital is one of the worst things I've ever seen in wrestling. And it's the reason that the Tennessee Stud decided that he'd like to wrestle.
Well,
to come back.
Well, I can certainly understand that. And for those of you who may have thoughts in your minds or are wondering about certain things, it's pretty obvious. The Bullet returned to Continental Championship Wrestling. And certainly I would think that until such time as anything can be proven to the contrary, the Tennessee Stud, whoever he may be, certainly has a right to come to Continental Championship Wrestling and wreak the kind of justice that he's looking for. We are not without, however, some sort of encouraging news from the standpoint that Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden, even though they're out of action, are alive and recuperating.
Yes, they're not in the hospital any longer, and I think you've got a videotape of just where they are and how they're doing.
Let's go to that right now, and let's get an update now after what you've seen thus far that happened last week here in Continental Championship Wrestling. Let's get an update now with Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden.
I appreciate very much the camera crew coming over here and being able to pick up the finest tag team that ever has wrestled in the southeastern area, and update on an injury situation that is about as ridiculous as anything I've ever heard of in all of my life. Kevin Sullivan, I will never forget watching television Saturday and sitting down and watching you take a chair when that goofy Chris Cole with him marks all over his back, Nazi or whatever, holding my hand down on the desk and then having your field day. I'll never forget the smiles and the laughing and boy, the way you feel inside, because I know you're a skunk like there never was one on this earth. far as getting down to my hand, I've had an operation on my hand. And they haven't even put a cast on it yet because they're going to do another operation on it. And it's fun, Kevin Sullivan. It's fun because of what I'm thinking I'm going to be doing to you one of these days when they do get that cast on it. And as for another man here that's in very serious condition, Jimmy Golden, the second closest man in the world to me that's in a situation right here where he may never see out of one eye again. Jimmy, I'll let you tell him yourself.
I'm going to tell you something, Robert. They've done a great job. I cannot see out of this eye at all, and this one I can barely see out of. Sullivan knew exactly what he had to do to get his men in position. He got rid of me and you, the best tag team in the country today, so that his boys could take our place. So I'm going to tell you something, Sullivan. You might have won just a little bit of this war. You won one battle, brother, but this thing ain't over with. If I could just get my hands on you right now, I don't need to see very much, because I squeeze your head right off. I don't know why they even brought this camera crew over here, because I didn't figure people's interested in what happened to me anyway. But nevertheless, brother, I'm going to tell you this. The Tennessee Stud and the Bullet, you're going to be looking at them guys. You're going to be looking at the Tennessee Stud, and don't you never forget about Jimmy Golden, brother, because one of these days when you're least expected, I'm going to be getting right behind you, son, and I'm going to be paying you back just for every bit of what I can do, brother. You and them two monkeys from New Guinea have put me in this bed and in the hospital, and Robert's all messed up with his hand. I'm going to tell you something. It's not over with, gentlemen. Just don't forget it.
I'll tell you what, too, and I don't worry about, you know, I see my brother in a situation where Tennessee Stud's going out with a Bullet to wrestle his partners. I don't worry about it. I saw Steve Armstrong ribbling on the floor just like me and Jimmy were, and were he able to be my partner and get in the ring, I'd take him in a second, too. That I give the Tennessee Stud and the Bullet just about 2 seconds to take your head, Kevin Sullivan, and twist it right off the top of your neck.
Again, for those of you who might have tuned in just a little bit late, Continental Championship Wrestling lost 3 of its top competitors last week when Steve Armstrong, Jimmy Golden, and Robert Fuller were all injured during a Singapore suicide match that was, frankly, engineered by one Kevin Sullivan. We have just had the interview with Jimmy Golden and Robert Fuller. They're on the road to recovery. How soon they return to the sport of wrestling is, frankly, doubtful. We just don't know. And, of course, Ron Fuller, as we told you earlier in the program, has been suspended. The Tennessee Stud, however, is coming to action on Continental Championship Wrestling. And obviously, the Stud's primary intention is to wreak some vengeance on this man, Kevin Sullivan, who's turned his back on the United States.
Well, all his henchmen come from outside the United States. I don't know Sullivan's thoughts on the United States, but he's certainly got headhunters from New Guinea. He's got a man from Arabia. He's got a guy from Germany. I've heard that he sprouts his mouth about the fact that they're the greatest competitors because they're not Americans, and Americans are where it's at as far as I'm concerned. And you know, Gordon, as well as I do, and competing around the world, there's nobody better anywhere in the world in wrestling in this sport than Americans. And certainly we dominate this sport all over the world, and it's not going to be long before the Bullet and the Tennessee Stud and some of the Wendell Cooley and other competitors here in this part of the country prove that for once and for all to Kevin Sullivan.
Well, I certainly have to agree with that viewpoint. It's interesting, though, that Sullivan, who is originally from Boston, Boston, of course, was the heart of the American Revolution, was also the heart, if you will, of Benedict Arnold, one of the world's, the country's greatest traders. And Sullivan seems to be following that particular penchant, if you will. Ron, I want you to watch this very carefully. This interview came from Kevin Sullivan. I don't know where it's from, the South Pacific, the Far East, Hawaii, somewhere, but let's go to Kevin Sullivan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sonny Ross in the Hawaiian Islands. I'm with a man, Mr. Kevin Sullivan. He's been up on the top of Mauna Kea with the High Lamas meditating. I caught up with him down here at Kailua Beach, a very, very mystical place. And Kevin, I understand you have some thoughts for the Tennessee Stud.
Well, let me tell you one thing, Mr. Stud. See, when you had me intimidated, the Sifu and Habudadin himself summons me here to the Temple of Time and strapped me to the Tree of Woe, because fear had entered my body for the first time in many, many years. You see, Mr. Tennessee Stud, when you did this to me, I almost turned my back on my kind. And now you see, because of that, when I was strapped to the tree of woe and the eagles plucked at my breast, it didn't matter, because I knew the strength that I needed would come back to me. You see, Mr. Stud, Mr. Tennessee Stud, Mr. Ron Fuller, evil lives in your heart, because you are now lying, because you and I know the Tennessee Stud and Ron Fuller are one of a kind. So soon, it has come to me now, Abudadina himself has said that one day Ron Fuller, the Tennessee Stud, will come and kneel beside you at your right side, because when I was sent to the four corners of the world, I could conjure them up from the mountaintops, from the bowels of the earth, and from the ocean, where whence they came. You see, the war has just begun, Mr. Stud, and the war will finally end. The war will finally end, whether it be in Knoxville, Alabama, Florida, Honolulu, or wherever. You see, until you come now and beg me for forgiveness on my right side and kneel beside me, I'll conjure them up from the face of the earth, from the ocean, from the hilltops, because soon it will be all over.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been 40 years since World War II, and World War II did start in the Hawaiian Islands on December 7th. I do not believe that World War II is over. There may be a new war beginning.
We'll draw first blood.
Well, I guess all you can say there is that's about what you would expect from a man like Kevin Sullivan.
I don't know what to expect from Kevin Sullivan, Gordon. Kevin Sullivan came in here telling my brother and my cousin, because I've been on an extensive tour out all over the world, and while I was gone in my absence, he purported to be my man. He purported to be telling them what to do and giving them my ideas, and at the same time making interviews at my home with me not present, and he's done so many things behind my back. I don't know who Kevin Sullivan is. I don't know what he thinks, but I do know that it's time to start taking care of a problem here, that the war is just beginning. I got surprises for you, Kevin Sullivan. The Bullets got surprises for you, and the Tennessee Stud has got more than surprises for you.
Well, let me make one point explicitly clear at this particular time on this program. We've been trying to recap some of the events that have occurred while Ron Fuller has been gone, and that any time, as far as I'm concerned, that Ron Fuller wants to be on this program to voice his opinions or his viewpoints, he is certainly welcome. Even though he can't compete, he is certainly allowed on this program to, as I say, give his editorial comments. We're going to be going to Boutwell Auditorium in a special interview with Freddie Miller. Following that, we're going to be seeing Wildcat Wendell Cooley in action and a host of other great matches. So we'll be joining you live at Boutwell Auditorium as we continue on this situation concerning the Mystic One, Kevin Sullivan.
Saturday, November 15th, down on the calendar. First of all, in Greenville at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the high school gymnasium, some outstanding championship wrestling matches. And then in Knoxville at the Civic Coliseum, Saturday night, the 15th. Match time is 8:30. For the first time ever, the Continental Tag Team Tournament. New Continental Tag Team belts will be presented to the winners of that one-night round-robin tournament. And Kevin Sullivan will have his New Guinea headhunters there, also Sheik Abdullah and Chris Von Colt and others.
You know, this is going to be a real interesting evening there in Knoxville, Tennessee, because it's the first time ever they're going to have a Continental Tag Team Championship put on the line right there in Knoxville, the biggest event in the history of Tennessee wrestling. You see, I've stacked the deck, though, because the New Guinea Headhunters, along with Chris Von Colt and the Sheik, a man who knows all about playing with fire. You see what I say? I've stacked the deck. The interesting thing is, you see, Fuller and Armstrong are together as a team, and they've never lost in Knoxville in a single match. This is the first time they've been together as a team. But I'm so confident that my teams will take this title back home for me. I'm going to guarantee you this. If you win one of the falls against the Headhunters, either it be the Bullet or the Tennessee Stud, I'll defend my title right there in Knoxville, the Continental title, against anybody that wins that fall. Because everybody knows this in Knoxville. I've never lost a match there in a long, long time. And Fuller,
And let me tell one more thing to the Bullet. You were the one that started this war. I came in here to get rid of you. You're not left yet. I'm going to pull the mask off of both of you guys, and I want to see what happens when your heads are shrunken to a real small size.
Indeed. We're going to find out. The 15th, Knoxville Civic Coliseum.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match one fall with a 15-minute time limit. It's a revenge match from happenings here at Boutwell just a week ago. This match between the Dirty White Boy, Tony Anthony, and Wildcat Wendell Cooley. Here's the Dirty White Boy, Tony Anthony. Tony Anthony. Ladies and gentlemen, Wildcat Wendell Cooley.
And there was no waiting for a bell to ring here, and Wildcat Wendell Cooley now exploding on Tony Anthony. The Dirty White Boy caught him coming into the ring. But it is Wildcat Wendell Cooley going all out now against the Dirty White Boy. Ooh! Caught him with an elbow. Full body slam by Wildcat Wendell Cooley. Cooley off the ropes and down across the chest of Tony Anthony. One fall match. And it was Anthony jammed into the turnbuckle. And brother, that crossed his running lights. He hit with one knee, and then he's back to the canvas again, and Wildcat Wendell Cooley out of the great state of Texas. He's the Alabama heavyweight champion. And it is Tony Anthony swinging wildly and missing. All right, the referee now trying to settle this situation down if he can, but Wildcat Wendell Cooley having none of that. He's going for the Oklahoma Stampede, and wait a minute. Tony Anthony reversed that situation. Cooley in trouble now as Anthony in a beautiful move. Turned that Oklahoma Stampede into a back suplex. And Anthony now bringing home the bacon, if you will. Hard clubbing right hand to the top of the head. Another one to the side of the jaw that puts Cooley down. Headbutt now by Tony Anthony. And now it's Cooley who's swinging wildly. Cooley straddle-legged, trying to get some balance going here. Staggered again and going backwards, and Tony Anthony catches him once again. Cooley down to the canvas. Anthony drives a knee into the chest of Wildcat Wendell Cooley. Hard right hand. Caught him with a lariat. And look at Cooley. Those eyes glazed and looking skyward. Caught again by the Dirty White Boy. Dirty White Boy is known for that lariat. Now punishing Cooley even more. Hard right hand into the side of the head. Anthony after him once again. He may have lacerated Cooley, and Cooley coming up very slowly. Anthony watching him carefully. Anthony catches him hard right hand again, staggers him, drives him backwards. Another one to the top of the head that puts Cooley back to the canvas. And Cooley has been lacerated. The crimson flowing now on the head of, from the head of Wildcat Wendell Cooley. Cooley down and Tony Anthony very much in charge of the situation. Referee down there watching very carefully. Good official, and you just can't see everything all the time. Wow, Cooley explodes. Anthony fires right back. Cooley's head jammed into the near turnbuckle. Anthony rips another right hand the side of the head of Wildcat Wendell Cooley. The Alabama heavyweight champion in a lot of trouble here. Remember, this is a one-fall match. Using that right hand very effectively now. Cooley misses with a right. That, if it had caught him, would have ripped his head off, but he missed. He was about 3 inches short. That when wearing boxing gloves, he may have caught him, but Cooley, good leapfrog over his man. Wow! Caught him with a lariat. And you talk about Cooley almost getting his head ripped off a couple of weeks ago, as we saw last week as well. Now you're seeing that he's capable of the very, very same thing. Wildcat Wendell Cooley caught outside by the dirty white boy. Tony Anthony getting that steel chair. Coming after Wildcat Wendell Cooley. Cooley caught him. Wildcat Wendell Cooley about to mete out some justice here. Brother, he laid him out. And the dirty white boy has been paid back in spades, I'll guarantee you that. He's got an ugly gash right between the eyes. Bad laceration. Cooley charging into the ring now. Cooley exploding with another right hand. Catches him with another right hand. And the referee dumped to one side as Cooley has pulled out all stops, and now the referee caught again. We got a clear sixer going here. They have let out all stops. And it's Cooley and the dirty white boy. I don't think anything matters now except one of them wants the victory here. We've got both referees in the ring trying to separate it. Both referees have been hit. And I would say both men obviously are going to have to be disqualified. We're about to, well, get embarrassed here if we're not careful. And Cooley finally backing off, and so is Tony Anthony. Both men backing away, as well they should. They both face possible suspension here. This situation transcends the Alabama Heavyweight Championship. This is a deep-seated personal situation. Between the dirty white boy, Tony Anthony, and Wildcat Wendell Cooley. They're going to have to keep these men separated. There's more than the belt here now. Cooley being admonished very harshly by referee Roy George. Tony Anthony doing the same thing, or getting the same thing from the referee. The count is on. The match has been stopped. For the official word, let's turn it over to our ring announcer.
In the time of 8 minutes, the referee has decided a double disqualification. Double disqualification.
Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. at the high school gymnasium. Then Saturday night, Knoxville Civic Coliseum. A one-night round-robin tournament for the Continental Tag Team Championship. Tom Pritchard and Steve Armstrong will be tag team partners going up against the Sheik Abdullah and Chris Von Colt.
Gordon, a lot of people are asking me, what's wrong with you? Have you changed your attitude? Why would you and Steve Armstrong be a team? I want to make it perfectly clear to everybody right now. I'm my own man. I haven't changed my ways one bit except for this. I'm from Houston, Texas. That's the South, and that's part of America. If you want to talk about Chris Von Colt and Sheik Abdullah, some funny-looking guy who could throw fire, he could do magic tricks, that doesn't matter in the ring because we're not there to play magic, Sheik, or you either, Chris. We're there to wrestle. And if Steve Armstrong comes up to me and says, hey, we're going after some new belts, you want to be my partner because the bullet's up? I said, yeah, if we get to fight the Sheik and Abdullah and Chris Von Colt, you got me as your partner, and that's what happened.
Thank you so very much. Well, the Hustler Rip Rogers and the Dirty White Boy are going to be tag partners. Let's hear what they have to say.
Well, let me tell you this. There's some great teams entered.
Whoa, Daddy, K-Town, that's my favorite town. Marty, get your dancing shoes on, baby. And before that's all over with, me and this man right here, we're going to step in the ring and go for those tag team titles. And, brother, do me one favor. You get that little, I'm not sure what he is, out of the way, and just let me have Wendell Cooley.
That's it, CWB, Dirty White Boy. You're talking about the dream team. You're talking about brains and brawn. You're talking about speed and strength. You're talking about beautiful looks and jungle tenacity. That's right, Knoxville, baby, the new Continental Tag Team Champions, baby.
November 15th, Knoxville. Look out, we're coming.
Knoxville.
Saturday, November 15th, Knoxville Civic Coliseum. Match time is 8:30. A one-night round-robin tournament for the new Continental Tag Team titles.
All right, the Bullet, the Tennessee Stud, going up against Eddie Ward and the Mongo. One fall.
Hey, brother, you can take the money and run. You know what I'm saying? You guys can take your money and get out of here right now, Mongo. You guys can take the money and go. You see, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Armstrong, see, when you deceive people and lie to people, it all comes back. You see, you really didn't have any opposition here. You really didn't have any contest. And I know how you guys like a contest and how you like everything above board and everything shape. Well, what we're going to right now is we're going to give you opponents. Mr. Fuller, we're going to give you opponents, and we're going to give you 5 opponents, and we're going to make, you talk about making mincemeat out of us? Well, there ain't going to be anything left but your mask and your boots.
Well, an interesting challenge here by Kevin Sullivan, the Mystic, one, and wait a minute. The New Guinea Headhunter is getting set to go into the ring, and wait a second. There are the Nightmares. And the Nightmares. Piling people into the ring, the Nightmares now. Well, we've got total chaos and confusion going now. Chris Von Colt, Sheik Abdullah, the New Guinea Headhunters, and now the Nightmares are in the ring. And brother, well, what looked like it was going to be 5 against 2 has turned out to be pretty even Steven now. Tennessee Stud never looking finer. Moving very effectively, the Bullet moving well. The Nightmares back in action. And you've got a reverse pile driver here. One of the Nightmares has Colt down, and the other Nightmare catches him. And they have raised some kind of havoc down in the ring now. They have cleared the ring. They have cleared the ring, and I do mean they've cleared it out. The Tennessee Stud, the Bullet, and the Nightmares. And if you had told me that you'd ever see that combination in the ring as compatriots and not adversaries, I would have said there's no way that things like that could happen. But it has happened, no question about it. It has happened. Let's see if we can get any kind of official word in regards to that match.
The time of 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Your winners, the Tennessee Stud, the Bullet, and the Nightmares. Right there.
Why buy it?
Saturday night, November 15th, 8:30, the Continental Tag Team Championships, a big tournament, one-night tournament. They'll be awarded the belts to the winners in this one-night tourney. First round pairings, the New Guinea Headhunters take on the Tennessee Stud and the Bullet. The Mystery Team clashes with Ron and Don Wright, Adrian Street and Wildcat Cooley against Dirty White Boy and Hustler Rip Rogers, Steve Armstrong and Tom Pritchard against Sheik Abdul and Chris Von Colt, plus many more. Be there.
Well, sir, a night of surprise.
It's been surprise, surprise for Mr. Kevin Sullivan. The Bullet has got more free I even thought I had, and thank you, brother. Thank you from the bottom of this heart, because it looked pretty bad. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I mean to say, you thought, Kevin Sullivan, you dummy, that you was going to be able to put something over on the Stud and the Bullet. Well, baby, that day is a far, far down the road. You talk about a mystery team. The mystery is no longer, baby. It will no longer be 404. It will no longer be 504. It will be the four of us standing together. The war has just begun, Daddy.
That's right. Oh, mercy. I feel good. Baby, we love you. Kevin Sullivan, your whole army, baby. The Nightmares are right here, back in black, and we're coming for you. Let me tell you, boy, Kevin Sullivan got a big surprise, didn't he? He come right down there to hurt somebody. He got kicked by the Stud. He got hit by a bullet and woke up in a nightmare. Now where is it? Really? You know, they said it was a mystery, and it's no mystery to these people what the Nightmares are all about, baby.
Well, I'll guarantee you one thing, as I said, it's a night of surprises, and I have a hunch the weeks to come are going to be full of more.
Ain't gonna be no more surprises now, baby. It's time to kick butt.
Well, one thing for sure, you never know what surprises are liable to take place here on Continental Championship Wrestling. The unlikely combination of the Nightmares, the Tennessee Stud, and the Bullet, all as one combined unit, is an unlikely situation indeed, but it's going to spell a lot of trouble for Mr. Kevin Sullivan and his Mystic Ones. Next week, of course, here on Continental Championship Wrestling, we'll be seeing the Nightmares in action. We'll see the exotic Adrian Street against the Hustler Rip Rogers in a championship match. Also, Roy Lee Welch going up against Tom Pritchard in a title match. And we'll be seeing the Sheik Abdullah and Chris Colt and many, many more. All upcoming, of course, here on Continental Championship Wrestling, where I can assure you each week you will see the absolute optimum in wrestling competition. We certainly hope that you will join us each and every week. We understand, too, of course, that during the weeks ahead, of course, with the football season now in full swing, and, of course, with the World Series and all coming up, there may be some program time changes, and occasionally, perhaps, we're going to be preempted. May we suggest that you watch your TV listings very carefully each week in case there are any time changes for Continental Championship Wrestling. And do remember, of course, that any time that you get a chance to see these matches live and in action, it's exciting here on television, but just as twice as exciting when you get a chance to see live matches. So then, until next week, this will be Gordon Soley saying so long from deep in the heart of Dixie.